welcome back to my channel. My name is Annelies and today I will be reviewing the new Red Temptation Winter that Zara just re-released. If you're like me and you love Zara fragrances or you just want to get to know them a little bit better, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I have several Zara fragrance review videos up already and I plan on releasing a bunch more. Every time Zara releases new fragrances, I will be there to review them. And without further ado, let's just get into the review. So as I said already, there are now 4 different Red Temptation versions. Original Red Temptation, Red Temptation Elixir, Red Temptation Summer and Red Temptation Winter. And Red Temptation Winter was actually released in 2022, so last year. The new release on Fragrantica at least seems to have some different notes and some different accords. So I will be comparing those two, but unfortunately, I've never owned Red Temptation Winter 2022. So I haven't smelled that one. I only have the one that they just released now. But yeah, let's get started with Original Red Temptation. So Original Red Temptation was released in 2020 and it is most known because it is a dupe for the well-known Baccarat Rouge 540 by Maison Francisque Dujan. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but we're just gonna go over that. So I did own a small bottle at one point, but just to let you know already, I've never really been a fan of that DNA. I don't think Baccarat Rouge 540 is a bad fragrance, but I've just never really felt that love and that like wow factor that everybody seems to feel with that fragrance. Never had it. But of course I wanted to know what the hype was all about. So I did get Red Temptation, but I already decluttered it because simply I'm not really a fan. I do have a little sticky thingy that I sprayed when I was at Zara's the other day, so I can just remind myself, but basically, it definitely is a dupe for Baccarat Rouge 540. But the thing that I personally didn't like about this one is that very prominent mossy, earthy note. I remember wearing this for the first time and I immediately got a compliment. By the way, if you didn't know already, this one projects really, really well. It lasts, it projects, it is amazing quality, especially for the price you're paying, but it's just amazing quality, period. So that is a plus. And it does have a nice base, but personally, like I said, you know, that mossy note, it made me want to wash it off after a while. It sort of bugged me more than I was enjoying it. But that's just me. This is a highly popular fragrance. So if you haven't tried it, I do recommend giving it a try because chances are big that you will love it. But I'm just one of those weird people that doesn't really like it. Having said that, I do, even though it's not my thing because of the mossy note, I do sort of get what people like about it because it does have a really nice base. Oh, and I forgot to say, if you don't know Red Temptation, this is basically an ambery, saffron, mossy fragrance. So yeah, in short, that is pretty much what Original Red Temptation is about. And then in 2022, so last year, Zara came out with Red Temptation Winter. Like I already said, I did not own it. So according to Fragrantica, it does have a bit of a different note breakdown than the newest Red Temptation Winter. If you tried the one that they released last year and also the one that they just released and you've noticed some differences, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's the original winter edition, and then last summer they came out with Red Temptation Summer. That one I did pick up. I don't own it anymore because it was a like for me, not a love, and I got rid of it during a massive declutter. But I do have a tester strip and I sprayed a bit on it when I was at Zara so I can remind myself, and honestly, smelling it now, I'm totally regretting getting rid of my bottle because I do really like this one. It actually smells gorgeous. Okay, so first, this one does not resemble Original Red Temptation whatsoever. Honestly, it resembles it maybe for 15% or so. It is very different. This is really a sweet, fruity, peony, floral, happy scent. Definitely spring and summer appropriate. Very girly, very uplifting. But like I said, very, very different from Original Red Temptation. This could have easily been a scent on its own. I don't really think this is like a flanker. But yeah, super pretty. I am actually going to rebuy the bottle because I actually do like this scent. And then only a couple of months ago, they came out with Red Temptation Elixir. I tried that one, I reviewed that one. I will put the video up here and down below in the description. But in short, I didn't really smell that much difference from original Red Temptation. It's there. I did think that Elixir had less of the mossy note, but that was replaced with some sort of a dustiness. So again, I wasn't a fan of that one. It smelled like they took a nice fragrance, but they added some dust all over the fragrance. Like it's a bottle that has been sitting out for years and it just sort of turned a little bit. I don't know, just not my thing again, but that one was pretty similar to original Red Temptation. So definitely a flanker. So those were the previous versions in short. Now let's talk about the actual new release. So the newest Red Temptation Winter, which is this bottle. It comes in the same type of bottle as the previous ones. The Elixir came in a different bottle, by the way. That was a smaller bottle with some thicker glass, and I think it was only 50 ml. This again is 80 ml in the same typical chapter type of bottles. So Zara describes this fragrance as a winter edition of a Red Temptation, obviously, where orange shines through with a touch of fruit and flowers stand out thanks to the musk and woody amber accords. Sophisticated, opulent, and long-lasting on the skin. The notes listed are saffron, orange praline, vanilla, leather, amber, musk, cedar, patchouli, and it is described as a medium intensity. So, what does this actually smell like? I gave it a spritz and I'm gonna do that now again. So at first, okay, I do get some of the original Red Temptation DNA, but I think this version has a bunch of other notes added as well, which really makes this fragrance, for me personally, a lot better than the original one. So what I immediately smell besides the Red Temptation DNA is a lot of praline and patchouli. I think those notes come through the most for me. And then a little bit further in the dry down, I do get the leather note, but I don't think it's a masculine leather or a dirty, like rough leather. I think it's super nice. I think adding vanilla in here was also a good choice because it does really warm up this fragrance. But I have to say, you do have to appreciate patchouli because there's quite a lot patchouli in here. Personally, I do like patchouli. I think there really is a thing as too much patchouli, making fragrances sometimes smell a little bit old-fashioned or outdated. This one is sort of, for me, on the edge of enough patchouli or almost too much patchouli, but I don't know, I can still really appreciate this scent. And personally, I'm loving that praline the most. There is orange in here, but I don't really think it's that prominent. So if you ask me, it's pretty much a base layer of Red Temptation with a bunch of praline and patchouli with a little bit of orange added on top. Okay, I'm just noticing now that the description on my box actually fits the old Red Temptation Winter note breakdown on Fragrantica and not so much the new one, which is super odd because the smell in itself really smells like the newer description of the notes, if you can still follow. So that's a little weird. Did they just, take a new bottle and put it in an old box? Because here it says, sensuality comes to life with a bright jasmine bouquet with an irresistible fruity touch, which is basically the old notes that I'm finding on Fragrantica. So that's a little bit confusing. I'm not sure what's up with that, but this really doesn't, personally to me, it doesn't smell like jasmine at all. It really smells like that praline, a little bit of leather, high doses of patchouli. Also, I really think this scent actually matches the color of this box with the gold lettering, because it does have some sort of an old-fashioned vibe around it. I do see this perfume more for middle-aged women or even up, but I don't think this is a scent for young girls and girls in their 20s. Of course you can, everybody can wear what they want, but that's just not what I'm thinking of when I'm smelling this. When I smell this, I do think of a woman of around, I don't know, like 40, 45 maybe? It's probably that patchouli. I do think patchouli heavy fragrances give me a bit of an old-fashioned vibe, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's also pretty sweet. And again, I don't want to be negative or anything, but personally, I'm not the biggest fan of super sweet fragrances. However, I think the sweetness in here is just fine. It's actually super warm and cozy. I do really love praline. I have noticed that in other fragrances. That is a type of sweetness and gourmandish note that I am actually a fan of. Yeah, I'm really feeling this one, but the only thing that I have my doubts about whether I should keep it or not is just because when I smell this, I do think of a little bit more of a mature person. 40 to 50, maybe even over 50. I do think this is a type of scent that would be suitable for that age category, which also gives it a lot of class, in my opinion. This doesn't smell like a, sorry to say it, but this doesn't smell like a cheap Zara youthful fragrance. It doesn't smell cheap. It actually smells expensive. That is nice. I do like that Zara has stepped away from only releasing those, you know, those fruity, fresh, bubbly, super young, girly fragrances that they used to only have. Now they're actually releasing like super sophisticated fragrances, and this is one of them. To me, this again is proof that Zara is really amping up the quality of their fragrances. Also, they describe this as a medium intensity. Personally, I think this is like strong. If you want to wear this fragrance, I do think you're going to get compliments, but I think it's a bit dangerous to overspray this one because of that patchouli. You might choke people out if you overspray, but I think if you spray it a normal amount, you're really gonna enjoy it the whole day and people really will be able to smell you. Definitely a winter fragrance. I do think it has a little bit of a unisex vibe, but I still think this is more feminine leaning. So yeah, in my opinion, a really great quality fragrance. If you are more into fun, fruity, bubbly fragrances, you might not enjoy this, so don't blind buy. But if you like fragrances sort of like La Vie est Belle, not that this is a dupe for La Vie est Belle, but it is sort of in that ballpark, like the praline, the sweetness, the patchouli. I do think it has sort of that vibe that you might really enjoy this. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you tried it and how it compares to the first original Red Temptation Winter. But yeah, that was just my 2 cents on this fragrance. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks again for watching and I will see you for the next one. Bye!